Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Not at the studio today, but still wanted to get you guys a video as there's a lot surrounding this football team. OTA day number 8 got wrapped up yesterday, and Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, has taken some shots at the New York Giants, and he is bragging about signing Saquon Barkley in NFL free agency. We'll talk about Dumbo Nick Sirianni in a second, but first, I want to talk about OTAs, and I want to talk about how the fan favorite UDFA from the 2023 NFL draft class, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, is making a name for himself and making it tough on Joe Schoen and Brian Dable when it comes to selecting the best 6 or 7 wide receivers. They're going to make this 53-man roster. Bryce Ford-Wheaton is entering his second offseason with the New York Giants, really his second season as he was the UDFA out of West Virginia out of the 2023 NFL draft. And he was one of those guys that when he was signed by the Giants, everybody was excited about it, really because of the athletic ability that he does possess. This is someone that on his RAS score, his relative athletic score, was graded out in the 99th percentile of all wide receivers to attend the combine at the current time of the combine last year. He's 6'3.5", 221 pounds, has a 41-inch vertical, over a 10-foot broad jump, all of those above the 93rd percentile. He ran his 40-yard dash at 4.38, 96th percentile, and he had a short shuttle of 4.1, the 82nd percentile. He is one of the most athletic receivers to ever go through drills at the combine, and that made him a fan favorite. He was a guy that a lot of Giants fans were hoping could be that next Victor Cruz, that next awesome UDFA wide receiver to be a long-time performer and a New York Giants legend. And it didn't happen that way for Bryce his first year with the Giants. He ended up tearing his ACL, had an up and down preseason, had a couple of nice catches, had a couple of drops as well. He also showed you that he could be an elite special teamer due to his athleticism, whether it's on kickoff coverage, punt coverage when he's one of those gunners. He can contribute in that way because of the type of athlete he is. But he's working back from that ACL, and he's already going to work on the practice field. And Art Stapleton a couple of days ago talked about how Bryce looked really good at practice. He said on May 30th, Bryce Ford-Wheaton flashed today. He's going to be a fan favorite in training camp in the preseason as he continues on his road back from his ACL last summer. And then Giants.com, John Schmelik, came up with an article today, actually, and he says this: Bryce Ford-Wheaton continues to impress on his way back from the season-ending knee injury last year. He has the speed to create separation, but he also has the frame to make plays against smaller defenders. He caught a number of passes throughout practice, including a deep ball down the middle of the field. He also came up with a back shoulder throw later in practice. And this is great news for Bryce Ford-Wheaton. This is someone that last year, I never really bought into the hype of him making the roster. It's always tough when UDFAs are trying to fight that uphill battle to do so, especially with where the Giants were at the receiver position last year. There were so many questions of, will they keep 6 receivers? Will they keep 7 receivers? They added guys like Paris Campbell. And the numbers just didn't work out, and as well as the injury for Ford-Wheaton to make this roster. Does he have a shot, though, this year to make the roster after what has seemed like he has been a winner so far of OTA? So let's go to the depth chart. You know Malik Neighbors, you know Darius Slayton, you know Wan'Dale Robinson, and you know Jalen Hyatt. Those 4 wide receivers are all going to make this football team. Last year, the Giants kept 6 receivers. I would assume they would keep at minimum 6, maximum 7. If I had to predict it, I would say 6 receivers are going to make this roster. That still includes guys that are competing like Bryce Ford-Wheaton, like Allen Robinson, like Isaiah Hodgins, Isaiah McKenzie, Gunnar Olszewski, Miles Boykin, Dennis Houston, Chase Cota, UDFA, who's looked good, who we'll talk about in a little bit, Jair Asante. John Giles has had some big-time moments at practices so far. So Ford-Wheaton's going to be competing, in my opinion, with guys like Hodgins and Allen Robinson to make this team. I think the Giants are going to keep Gunnar Olszewski as a part of their 53-man roster, or maybe someone else that can return punch. Joe Schoen, entering his 3rd year as a general manager, he's gone through 2 seasons, has been burned multiple times by not keeping a punt return specialist on this roster. You go back to the 2022 season, Richie James fumbles twice against the Seattle Seahawks. Really a main reason you lost that game. You go to the 2023 season. You try Eric Gray at punt returner. That didn't work out. Then you try Sterling Shepard. That didn't work out. Back to 2022, I know I'm all over the place. You try Adoree Jackson at punt return. He sprains his MCL. He misses 7 games. The Giants have been burned by punt returners, and it wasn't until you signed Gunnar Olszewski in the second part of last season that you really found a guy that could be productive and consistent and actually make plays with the ball in his hands. So for that reason, I think Neighbors, Slayton, Robinson, and Hyatt, as well as Gunnar Olszewski, are 5 receivers who are locked into this roster, which means there's only 1 or 2 spots left. And you got guys like Robinson and Hodgins and as well as Bryce Ford-Wheaton. The way that BFW is going to make this team is the way that he can contribute on special teams. We know that there's going to be more kick returns this year with the new kickoff rules. Can he be a guy on kickoff coverage that can provide you someone that has speed, athleticism, can cover ground and make tackles? That could be a way he could make this team, as well as excelling on punt coverage. We talked about him having those abilities to be a gunner. He looked good at times during the preseason last year. That will be his way to do it. But man, if he continues to ball out at practice at receiver, he really provides you a type of player that you don't really have at 6'3.5", 4'3", 40, can climb the ladder, 40-inch vertical. He's like the Madden receiver we all created as a kid growing up. He's an incredible, incredible athlete. Can he put it all together, and can he continue to make plays throughout the summer and into the preseason to try to crack this 53-man roster? My question to you before we talk about Dumbo is this: does Bryce Ford-Wheaton make this roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from you in the comments section. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We try to put out free, informative, entertaining, passion-driven content every day on the New York Giants. I've been dealing with some stuff. Got to go to the dentist later today and get a root canal. And I've been under the weather. I have not been feeling well. But you know what? Still getting you guys videos. Subscribe and turn your notifications on so you never miss a thing. From Bryce Ford-Wheaton to Nick Sirianni. You've probably already heard about it. I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it with you guys, so I want to take the next couple of minutes to do so. At OTAs for the Philadelphia Eagles, Sirianni says this: sometimes you see Giants fans around here, with it being so close, talking about Philadelphia, New Jersey, and they give me a good hey, go Giants, and I typically let it go. But if the guy gets me good enough, I usually say, I got your best player. Oh, Nick Sirianni. He's a D-bag. He just is, man. He has the most punchable face, and there's so many parts of this quote that just upset me, and I shouldn't be getting upset by this. He says, usually they give me a good hey, go Giants, and I typically let it go. No, what are you going to do? Fight the person for telling you they're saying go Giants? And he says, but if the guy gets me good enough, I usually say, I got your best player. You didn't get the best player from the Giants. You got Saquon Barkley. And I, as in what you're referring to saying I got the best player, the Eagles got the best player. And he's not even the best player. We'll talk more about that in a second. But I want to focus on you, Mr. Nick. You are not the Philadelphia Eagles. You were almost fired after this season because of the way that the season ended, with you getting wiped off the floor in Week 17 by the New York Giants when the NFC's title was up for grabs. And then you got pummeled by Baker Mayfield in the first round of the playoffs. You were almost fired. You are not the Eagles. You are the coach of the Eagles. You're not going to go down in history as an Eagles head coach unless you win a Super Bowl. So the Eagles got the best player. So Nick Sirianni, get a grip. Understand who you are. Know your role, brother. Know your role. 2, the Eagles got your best player. And I know that it's easy to pile on Saquon right now, and I've done my fair share of that. I don't think it's even remotely close that he was the best player on the Giants last year. Most talented? Maybe. That's a completely different conversation. Talent doesn't always equal results. If you want to talk about best, that means they had the best season, meaning they produced the most. Saquon Barkley was not the most productive player on the Giants last year. That would be Dexter Lawrence. I can't even say he was the second best player on the Giants last year. That might have been Xavier McKinney. I can't say he's the third either, because that's probably Andrew Thomas. And I really can't say he was the fourth, because that was Bobby Okereke. I tweeted out that I said Saquon Barkley was not even a top 5 player on the Giants last year. Maybe he was 5. Maybe you can put him 5. But I'm not putting him above Dexter Lawrence, not putting him above Andrew Thomas, I'm not putting him above Xavier McKinney, and I'm not putting him above Bobby Okereke. I think the money Saquon Barkley got compared to Xavier McKinney got shows that. Bobby Okereke got just as much money, $10 million a year, as Saquon Barkley got this year, what Okereke got paid last year. And I would even say Kayvon Thibodeau had a better season than Saquon Barkley. Thibodeau, 11.5 sacks last year, or was it 11? And Saquon Barkley played in 14 games and averaged 3.9 yards per carry. A lot of factors into that. The offensive line is bad, but that's the nature of the running back. You play the most dependent position in football. So you can't be top 5 if the offensive line is bad. And I'll just say that. So no, Nick Sirianni, you didn't get our best player. That would be Dexter Lawrence. And in my opinion, you didn't get a top 5 player from the Giants last year. Are the Giants going to miss Saquon? No doubt about it. Am I upset that he chose to go play for the Eagles? Yes. But the facts are the facts. Andrew Thomas is the best player on this offense. And then Saquon Barkley maybe have been second. I also think you can make an argument that Darius Slayton was just as impactful as Saquon Barkley last year. But that could be a debate for another day. My question to you, though, to close today's show is this. Who are the top 5 players on the Giants right now? Not last year, right now. Who are the top 5 guys on the Giants? I want to hear from you in the comments section. And as always, just want to say appreciate you guys for stopping by. Been dealing with some stuff over the past couple of days, so I haven't been able to do as much videos as I want. I'm dealing, I was hurting Monday, and I'm hurting today, and I am petrified to go to the dentist here in 3 hours and get the procedure done. So keep your boy in your thoughts, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video on the latest Giants news.